The castle is floating, not drifting gently upward like a balloon, but hovering 300 feet above Enchancia with absolutely nothing holding it up. Sofia discovers this when she looks out her window and sees the royal garden directly below her, except the garden should be outside, not underneath. Gravity has stopped working, and nobody knows why. It started with a feather, a single white feather that refused to fall during Princess Amber's morning portrait session. The artist tried to paint it, but the feather kept drifting upward, circling Amber's head like some kind of malfunctioning halo. Annoying, but hardly catastrophic. Then Clover tried to hop across the courtyard and accidentally launched himself 20 feet into the air. That's when people started to panic. Now the entire castle is airborne, and everyone inside is experiencing what Cedric the Sorcerer keeps calling selective gravitational inversion, which is just a fancy way of saying things are floating when they shouldn't be. The furniture is fine, the walls are solid, but people, animals, and apparently feathers have decided that down is optional. Sofia grabs onto her bedpost as her feet leave the floor. She's wearing her heaviest boots, the ones with the iron buckles, and they're doing absolutely nothing. Her amulet catches the light as she spins slowly in midair, and for a moment she wonders if this is somehow her fault. The amulet of Avalar has caused stranger things to happen. "This is incredible," James shouts from somewhere above her. He's figured out how to propel himself by pushing off the ceiling, treating the whole disaster like some kind of game. His practice sword is floating beside him, lazily rotating in the air. "I can fly without a flying horse." Amber is not having the same fun. She's stuck near the chandelier, perfectly horizontal, her dress billowing around her like she's underwater. "Get me down right now," she demands, but her voice lacks its usual authority when she's spinning in slow circles. "My hair is ruining itself." The thing about losing gravity is that it doesn't happen all at once. Sofia notices that some objects still obey the rules. Her jewelry box stays on the dresser. The paintings remain on the walls, but her hairbrush just drifted past her ear, and she's pretty sure she saw a book swimming through the air in the hallway. Whatever's causing this is selective, which somehow makes it worse. Cedric bursts through the door, except bursting is hard when you're floating. He sort of glides through sideways, his robes trailing behind him like squid tentacles. "I've analyzed the magical signature," he announces, clutching his wand like it's the only solid thing in the universe. "This isn't a spell, it's a curse, a very old one." "How old?" Sofia manages to grab a curtain and pull herself toward him. "Enchancia was just a village old, before the castle existed old." Cedric pushes his hair out of his face, but it just floats back immediately. "Someone buried a gravity stone in the foundation centuries ago. It's been keeping everything properly weighted ever since, until today." Sofia's stomach drops, which is ironic considering gravity isn't working. What happened to it? Cedric pulls out a scroll that immediately tries to unroll itself in all directions. According to this extremely inconvenient ancient text, gravity stones expire. They have a shelf life of exactly 500 years, and apparently today is the 500th anniversary of this castle's construction. He pauses. "Congratulations on the milestone." That would almost be funny if the castle wasn't floating away from Enchancia like some kind of architectural soap bubble. Sofia peers out the window and sees the village getting smaller. They're drifting north, picking up speed. At this rate, they'll be over the Mystic Isles by sunset. "Can we replace it?" James asks, finally taking this seriously. He's discovered that pushing off the ceiling too hard sends you crashing into the floor, or what used to be the floor before floor and ceiling became interchangeable concepts. "Oh, certainly," Cedric says with impressive sarcasm. "We simply need to descend into the sub-basement, which is now directly above us, locate the gravity stone chamber, remove the depleted stone, and install a new one. Easy. Except we don't have a new one. They stopped making them 3 centuries ago, and the chamber is sealed with a lock that only opens when you're standing on the floor, which we can't do, because there is no floor." Amber has managed to grab onto the chandelier and is hanging there like a very fancy, very angry ornament. "Why didn't anyone mention that the castle had an expiration date?" "It was in the royal archives," Cedric mutters, "filed under things future generations should probably know about. Nobody reads those anymore." Sofia's mind is racing. The castle is floating. Gravity is gone. They need a stone that doesn't exist anymore. And they're currently drifting toward... She looks out the window again. They're heading straight for the floating palace, Princess Ariel's underwater castle that sits on the ocean's surface. The irony is not lost on her. "Wait," Sofia says slowly. "If we're floating, and the floating palace floats, what happens when we collide?" Everyone turns to look at her. Then everyone turns to look out the window. The palace is getting closer, much closer. Cedric's face goes pale. That's not a collision. That's a catastrophe. The floating palace stays on the water through magical buoyancy. if our gravitational field intersects with theirs. He doesn't finish the sentence. He doesn't need to. Sofia can already see what's about to happen, and they have maybe 10 minutes to stop it. Sofia doesn't wait for permission. She kicks off the wall and launches herself toward the throne room doors, which are currently sideways. We need to get to the floating palace before we crash into it. That's your plan? Amber shrieks from the chandelier. Speed up the disaster? No, we warn them. They can move their palace out of the way, and we can figure out how to land this castle before we drift into the endless ocean. Cedric is already floating after her, though his robes keep billowing up around his head in a way that completely destroys his dignity. The sub-basement chamber, we still need to access it. One crisis at a time. Sofia grabs the doorframe and pulls herself through. The corridor beyond is chaos. Paintings have fallen off walls and are now stuck to the ceiling. A suit of armor is doing slow backflips through the air. Bailiwick floats past, still holding a tea tray, looking like he's experiencing the worst day of his very long career. Your Highness, he says with remarkable composure for someone currently upside down. Shall I postpone dinner? Probably a good idea. They make their way toward the main entrance, which involves a lot of pushing off surfaces and hoping you're aiming in the right direction. Sofia's getting better at it. Think of the castle like a giant swimming pool, except the water is air and nothing makes sense anymore. James catches up to them, moving with surprising grace. Turns out all those fencing lessons taught him something about momentum and trajectory. How do we get down to the floating palace? We're 50 feet above it now and rising. Sofia looks out the nearest window. He's right. The castle is gaining altitude. They're not just floating anymore, they're ascending, which means the gravity stone didn't just fail, it reversed. Cedric sees it too. Oh, that's unfortunate. The stone isn't depleted, it's inverted. Instead of pulling things down, it's pushing everything up. We're going to keep rising until we hit the cloud layer, then the upper atmosphere, then… He trails off, but his expression finishes the thought. Then they all suffocate. New plan, Sofia says. We get to the floating palace now. They might have something in their library about gravity stones. How? Amber has finally let go of the chandelier and is floating toward them, though she keeps trying to swim through the air like she's doing the breaststroke. It's not helping. We can't exactly walk down there. Sofia looks at Minimus, who's been quietly hovering nearby. Flying horses don't need gravity. That's their whole thing. Minimus, can you carry us? The horse snorts, which in zero gravity creates tiny droplets that float away like pearls. He nods. All of us? James asks doubtfully. Not all at once. He'll have to make trips. Sofia moves to the main entrance. The giant doors are already open, probably blown outward when gravity failed. She peers down at the floating palace below. It's beautiful, all coral towers and pearl domes, sitting on the ocean like a crown. And they're about to crash into it like a meteor. She can see people on the palace terraces now, tiny figures pointing up at them. Someone's waving. That's either a very friendly greeting or a desperate warning. Probably both. Minimus positions himself near the doorway. Sofia climbs onto his back, which is weird when there's no up or down, and he launches into the air. Except it's not really air anymore. It's just space. The wind hits her face, and for a moment she forgets about the crisis and just feels the rush of flying. They descend toward the palace. As they get closer, Sofia can see Princess Ariel on the main terrace, her tail shimmering in the sunlight. She's talking urgently with several merpeople and pointing at the approaching castle. Minimus lands on the terrace, which feels amazing. Solid ground, actual gravity. Sofia's legs almost buckle from the relief of weight. Ariel swims over, her expression caught between concern and fascination. Sofia! Your castle is floating and rising, and also glowing slightly purple, which seems new. Long story, we need your library. Do you have anything about gravity stones? Ariel's eyes widen. The ancient anchors? I think there's something in the restricted section. Follow me. They move through the palace corridors while Minimus flies back up to get the others. The floating palace is everything Sofia remembers. Water flowing through channels in the walls, bioluminescent fish providing light, everything designed for beings who live between sea and air. The library is massive, filled with books protected by waterproof spells. Ariel pulls out a tome that looks older than the castle itself. Here, gravity stones. They were created by the first enchanters to keep human structures stable, but they have a flaw. 500-year lifespan, Sofia says. Not just that. When they fail, they invert. They become levity stones. They push instead of pull. Your castle isn't just floating, it's trying to escape into orbit. Sofia's stomach drops, which is ironic considering her stomach is currently experiencing normal gravity for the first time in 20 minutes. How do we fix it? Ariel flips through pages covered in ancient script and diagrams. You need to reverse the polarity. But that requires accessing the stone directly and speaking the counterweight incantation, which is, she stops. Her face goes pale. Well, paler. She's already pretty pale. Oh no. What? The incantation has to be spoken by someone who's simultaneously touching the stone and experiencing true gravity. But if you're near the stone, you're in the castle, which means you're not experiencing true gravity anymore. They stare at each other as the impossibility settles in. Outside the window, Sofia can see the castle continuing to rise, now completely above the cloud layer. From here, it looks almost peaceful, almost beautiful, like a dream of a castle that decided to visit the stars. But dreams don't suffocate their inhabitants, and they're running out of time to wake up. Sofia's mind races through impossible solutions. She needs gravity to fix the gravity problem, which is exactly the kind of circular logic that makes magic so frustrating sometimes. Then she sees it. The water channels running through the library walls, water that flows down because it still knows which way down is. Ariel, these channels, they're connected to the ocean, right? All the way to the seafloor. The palace pulls fresh water up, but the return flow goes back down naturally. Ariel's expression shifts from despair to calculation. The water pressure would be intense, and you'd be fighting the castle's upward momentum the entire way. Do you have anything that could protect someone, like a bubble or sphere? The Pearl of Passage. It creates a protective shell around the holder. We use it for deep ocean exploration. Ariel swims to a display case and retrieves a pearl the size of Sofia's fist, swirling with internal light. Back on the terrace, Minimus has brought down Amber, James, and a very grateful Cedric. They're all looking significantly less green now that gravity exists again. We have a plan, Sofia announces, but it's risky. Riskier than becoming permanent sky furniture, Amber asks. I'm listening. Sofia explains the gravity tunnel concept. James immediately volunteers because of course he does. I can swim, and I'm good at holding my breath. You'll need to do more than swim. You'll be fighting against the castle's ascent while descending through a water column. It'll be like climbing down a waterfall that's trying to push you back up. Cedric clears his throat. Actually, the boy might be our best option. He's the lightest of us, which means less resistance, and his youth means his lungs have more elasticity for pressure changes. Everyone stares at Cedric. He shifts uncomfortably. What? I read books. I'm a wizard. They set up quickly. Ariel's people create a massive water spout that connects the ocean surface to the castle's foundation. The castle is now so high that the spout looks like a reverse lightning bolt, a column of water stabbing upward into the sky. James holds the Pearl of Passage and the book with the incantation. Sofia has made him repeat the words 15 times to ensure he has them memorized. The pearl activates at his touch, surrounding him in a translucent sphere of protection. Remember, Sofia says, once you reach the stone, you have to be touching it and experiencing true gravity at the same time. The tunnel will provide the gravity. Don't let go of the stone until you've finished the incantation. James nods. He looks scared but determined, which Sofia has learned is the exact combination you want in a hero. Scared means you're not stupid. Determined means you'll do it anyway. He steps into the water spout. The pearl keeps him dry, but the force is immediate. The water tries to push him back up, fighting his descent. He starts swimming downward, each stroke a battle against physics itself. From the palace terrace, they watch his glowing pearl descend through the water column. It's agonizingly slow. The castle continues rising, which means the tunnel keeps getting longer, which means James has farther to travel. Come on, Amber whispers. Sofia realizes it's the first time she's heard her sister sound genuinely worried about someone else. The pearl reaches what must be the castle's foundation. They can't see inside the structure, but they know the gravity stone is in the central chamber, in the very heart of the foundation. James disappears from view. Nothing happens. Seconds stretch into minutes. The castle continues its escape attempt. Sofia does the math in her head and doesn't like the results. At this altitude, the air inside the castle is already thinning. Another 10 minutes and breathing will become difficult. Then the castle shudders. It's not violent, just a single tremor, like when you stretch after sitting too long. The upward momentum slows, then stops. For one perfect moment, the castle hangs suspended in the sky, the most magnificent thing Sofia has ever seen. A complete impossibility, frozen in time. Then it starts to fall. Oh no, Cedric says, which Sofia has learned is wizard speak for, we're about to have a really bad day. The descent accelerates, the castle plummets, picking up speed, the water tunnel unable to slow its mass. They're going to crash into the ocean like a stone, which is ironic, considering stones are what caused this whole mess. Ariel acts instantly. She raises her hands, and the ocean responds. Water rises in a massive cushion, a liquid pillow hundreds of feet thick. The castle hits it with tremendous force, but the water absorbs the impact, compressing and spreading the energy. The castle settles onto the ocean's surface, floating like the world's most overdressed boat. Water sloshes over the terraces and drains through the courtyards. But it's stable, it's safe. James emerges from the foundation entrance, soaking wet despite the pearl's protection, grinning like he just won a tournament. Did it work? Sofia wants to lecture him about the danger and the risk and how worried they all were. Instead, she hugs him. Amber does too. Even Cedric gives him an awkward pat on the shoulder. They get the castle towed back to shore by a team of Ariel's dolphins, which is exactly as ridiculous as it sounds. By sunset, the castle is back on solid ground, anchored by a new gravity stone that Ariel's people happen to have in storage. Apparently, when you're a magical underwater kingdom, you keep spare reality anchors lying around. That night, Sofia stands on her balcony, looking up at the stars. They're beautiful from down here. She doesn't need to visit them. Some adventures are better observed from a safe distance. Besides, she's learned something important. Gravity isn't just a force that keeps you down. Sometimes it's the thing that brings you home. The castle settled back into its foundation with a satisfied creak, like an old dog circling before lying down. Sofia's boots touched stone, and the weight felt wonderful. Gravity, it turns out, is something you only appreciate when it briefly takes a vacation. The next morning, someone found Amber's portrait from the floating feather incident. The artist had painted the feather mid-drift, circling her head like a confused halo. Amber wanted it destroyed immediately, but King Roland insisted on keeping it. Sometimes the best reminders are the embarrassing ones. They teach you that castles belong on the ground, and that some expiration dates are worth marking on the calendar.